just heard the news about the passing away of Ayatollah Hassan Zada Amali. You don't know who that man was. We can't just pass by this by reciting just one Surah Fatiha and say, Ayatollah Hassan Zada Amali passed away. We need to give condolences to Imam Zamana Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Because Imam Zamana has lost a soldier. He manages the affairs of this universe by means of certain individuals. And when he loses one of them, then that is one vacuum that he needs to fill. وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا حَسَنْ زَادَ عَمَلِي. You don't know who this man was. And this forum does not allow me to explain or elucidate further. As people will not have the ability to digest who this man was. It's such a blow to lose this man. You want to see an individual now that he's passed away. You want to see an individual who could see angels. This was Hassan Zada Amali. Don't ask me references. See angels in this world. That was this man. A hidden gem that Imam has lost. Condolences, Sahib al-Amr. People like them go and people like us are still in this world, wasting time. Wish you knew what Hassan Zada Amali was. May God resurrect him with his Mawla Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him for what he did for Imam Zaman Ajjalallahu ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. And may Allah grace him with the presence of these holy personalities now that he's passed away into the grave and he's put into the grave. May I request all of you to recite Surah Al-Fatiha with 3 times Tawheed and 5 times Salawat for this personality, a diamond who's left this world before and without people knowing his qadr. But it doesn't matter to him, because those who needed to know his value know his value. So let's recite Surah Al-Fatiha with Surah Tawheed. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على خاتم النبيين وسيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما على الإمام المنتظر وحجة الله الثاني عشر ابن العسكري المنتظر ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم القرآن الحكيم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما كان لمؤمن ولا مؤمنة إذا قضى الله ورسوله أمرا أن يكون لهم الخيرة من أمرهم ومن يعص الله ورسوله فقد ضل ضلالا مبينا. صلوات. As we continue our discussion regarding the concept of wilayat being the system of divine governance, and today we've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday night and Tuesday, we got 4 more majlis, and in this there are a few very important points that I need to finish off. However, let me be very honest with you. First of all, allow me to thank you for being so patient with me in terms of my timings. I've always been very bad in maintaining timings, but you've been so very generous, so very patient. Not one complaint, not one shikayat that's come to me, no pressure at all, and so I appreciate that and thank you very much for it. Having said that, despite the way that we're going pretty fast, taking up the full quota of time, at times going above the time, I'm still falling immensely short of what I needed to convey to you. So despite 12 majlises that would finish, inshallah, on the bi'awnillah, if we finish off on the 12th, on the day of Arba'in, which will be the 12th majlis, I would still need at least 3 or 4 additional majlises to complete what I had planned for you, which will not be possible. So we will have to make sure that we present to you the important things that I can pass to you in these few nights that we've got. Today what I want to take forward to you is something very important that you need to realize, and that forms one of the fundamentals of the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So the fundamentals of the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and I want to take you to that event that basically stamped his authority onto this world of existence in terms of Sharia. In terms of Taqween, he was always the representative of the Holy Prophet. But in terms of Shariat, it was the day of Ghadir, when the Holy Prophet took his arm, and then that sentence of Man kuntu mawlahu fa'adha aliyun mawla. But this incident of Ghadir that took place had a very interesting incident before it and after it, in the sense that before this event took place, God had an opinion which he conveyed to the Prophet before the event, and God had an opinion which he conveyed to the Prophet after the event. And it is this that I want to explain to you, and you will see the dharafat, see the latafats, and see the subtlety in these aspects of wilayah. So everybody knows that the Holy Prophet was on his way to Hajjatul Wada, and at that time Allah sends down that ayat Iblagh, Ya ayyuha Rasul balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik. Pass on to everybody what we have told you to pass on vis-a-vis the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And you know all of that, yeah? Ya ayyuha Rasul balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik. Pass on what you have been said. If you do not pass on, fa illam taf'al, if you do not do this, fama ballaghta risalata, you've not sent out your risala. And Allah will save you. Wallahu ya'asimuka minan nas. Allah will save you from the evils of the people. This was before the event of Ghadir. Event of Ghadir takes place, Allah sends another opinion, means another revelation. When he says, Al-Yawm, now that you've announced this wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the Imamats, Al-Yawm akmaltu lakum dinakum, today I have perfected my religion for you. وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي, and I have completed my ni'mat upon you. وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا, and today this religion of yours has become mardi of mine. Mardi means something that is my beloved. So by this, what has happened today, now this religion has become mardi of mine. Mardi in Arabic means, in Urdu mardi, in Gujarati apne marzi thi hamari, means it is my wish. Over here in Arabic, mardi means something that is beloved of me, something that I'm pleased with. So this becomes now a pleased religion of mine. This becomes a religion that is mardi of mine. And today when we talk about mardi, we'll be talking the Arabic mardi, not the Urdu and the Gujarati marzi. Now, in order to understand this, I need to explain a few things about the leadership of Islam. See, every religion, so now we are getting into the flow of the things. Every religion needs a leader to guide and lead that religion forward. If a religion does not have a leader, that religion begins to stagnate. And that once it begins to stagnate, any water that stagnates begins to rot. So for a religion to be constantly moving with the time, it needs a leader. Now, you cannot have any Tom, Dick, and Harry as a leader. That leader has to have certain qualities to take charge of this religion. Religion by itself consists of 4 parts. So one, a religion comprises of aqaid, it comprises of akhlaq, it comprises of huquq, rights, and it comprises of fiqh, the rulings. So aqaid, what you believe, what is needed to be believed. Aqaid, what God wants us in terms of behavior. Third, huquq, how He wants people to interact with each other. The religion wants us to interact with each other. And for the fiqh, what are the terms of obedience that God and this religion wants from us vis-a-vis Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are the 4 things. Now the leader who's leading this religion has to have certain qualities. If he doesn't have these qualities, he cannot be a good leader. That religion will go astray. And you've seen this in the world. Religion came and religions have gone, because their leadership could not handle, irrespective of the fact that the religion was correct, not correct. But for a continuation of a movement, you need, specifically when it's a religion, you need to have a leader with certain qualities. Now, listen, this is a little academic, then I will explain to you how it moves about in real life. So for a leader to lead a religion and prevent it from being stagnated, the first thing he should be able to do, he ought to be able to do, is something which is referred to as tabyin. Tabyin means explain the religion. Explain the issues related to this religion. What is this religion asking about? First listen to the theoretical part and then I'll give you the examples. So the first thing that a leader should be able to do is he should be able to do tabyin. Explain the aspects about this religion, the intricacies of the religion. After that, he should be able to do ta'leel. Ta'leel means to give proofs and evidence. If somebody comes and asks why this, why that, he should have the knowledge to be able to answer each and everything. Give the reason, give the dalil, give the burhan, give the proofs. Second. Third, he should be able to do ijra. Ijra means to execute the rulings of Islam. So if in a certain case Islam says this needs to be done, he should not say, oh, what will people say? What will happen to my hukumat? Will I lose the support of the people? Will I lose the popularity that I've got? He says, I don't care about the people. If this is what the religion demands me to do, I will do it. That's called ijra, execution. So one is explanation, one is proving, third is execution, and fourth is difa. Difa means to support. Difa means to defend. So whenever there are hostilities against the religion, hostile powers coming with evil intentions to the religion, this individual should be able to stand up to that hostilities and defend his religion. So let's take the classical example of the best leader that could ever have been given to us in the form of the Holy Prophet. In the case of tabyin, he would talk about the ahkam, about the rulings, about the issues about Islam. So let's take one example. He would say, Aqimus Salah. The Quran says, Allah wants you to pray. So pray Then he will give you explanation. You know why prayers is very important. It's the first of the furu'ad-din. Inna salat amud-ad-din. It is the pillar of Islam. It is the first of the furu'ad-din. It is so important. In qubilat ma sivaha wa in ruddat ma sivaha. If it is accepted, all your other deeds will be accepted. If it is thrown into the bin, all your other deeds will be thrown into the bin. This is how he explains in the marhala of tabyin and explanation. Then somebody will come and ask him for ta'leel, illat, reason, proofs. Prove it to me. What? Somebody comes and says, Ya Rasulullah, you ask us to pray 5 times. There are 5 prayers. Sometimes we have to pray in 3 timings. Sometimes you say we can even pray in 5 timings. Why the 5 prayers? Any particular reason? He has to give proofs. He says, yes. The reason that you've been asked to pray 5 times is because inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. The salat that God has ordained has the ability to stop you from doing evil, stop you from committing sins, stop you from transgressing upon the rights of the others. No, we don't understand why 5 times. So now I'll give you the reason. And these I'm paraphrasing metaphorically and paraphrasing the words of the hadith. All that I'm saying are words of the hadith which I'm putting into my own words. Oh, Ya Rasulullah, what is the illat for these 5 prayers? He says, you know, if, for example, outside your house there was a river, and every time you come out the house 5 times in a day, every time you come out you have to take a shower, and you've been told 5 times a day you have to take a dip into that river, cleanse yourself. So at the end of the day, when you've gone 5 times into that river, how would you appear? So it will be very clean. Well, this is the reason that salat has been made 5 times. That 5 times, inna salat tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Salat prevents a person from doing evil, committing sins. 5 times a day you stand before God and say, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. That has the potential and the power to stop you from committing sins, cleanses you 5 times every day. So, that is the illat. Yes, that is the reason. When it comes to for ijra and execution. You remember when I mentioned to you one time how Allah says break down a masjid? The incident of Masjid al-Dhirar, the masjid that was a corrupt mosque, which Quran mentions in Surah Tawbah, verse number 108, 109. And the lion of God is so shadid. Says, I don't want this mosque. But Rabbi, this is your house. He said, I don't care about that house. La taqum fi. Look at words of God when he's talking to the Holy Prophet. وَلَا تَقُمْ فِيهِ أَبَدًا. Do not stand in that mosque ever, abada. Do not, la taqum. This is shadid. Don't stand in that mosque, break it down. God has said, I'm not worried. People would say, Ya Rasulullah, we've collected funds, faro jama kar rahe the from this person, that person. Man mushkil thi, we managed the money. Man mushkil thi, we've collected, we made the building, the edifice. Now you want to break it down? Says, I don't care. God has said to break it down, I'm going to break it down. This is my execution. Not just break it down, demolish it. Not just demolish it, the place where it is broken down, I will make it into a junkyard. Not metaphorically, this is actually true. We mentioned this. God says, make it into a dump yard. So that people realize, even if a mosque is built on something that is corruption. And we told you, this mosque was built by the enemies of Islam to provide a front, a facade for them to gather and conspire against Islam. Jibreel comes and says, Allah said, He knows what is in the intention. They're not here to pray salah. They are here to conspire against Islam. Break it down. Convert the place into a junkyard. Put all your rubbish of Medina in that place so that people realize even a place where there is a mosque, but if it is against the rulings of Islam and against my representative, that needs to go. Execution. He's willing to do it. And then difa, protecting and defending religion. Who doesn't know about Mubahala? The Christians come from Najran. We don't believe you. We don't accept you. You don't accept me, then there's only one way to prove my authenticity and legitimacy. Let's do Mubahala. قل تعالوا ندعو أبناءنا وأبناءكم ونساءنا ونساءكم وأنفسنا وأنفسكم ثم نبتهل ونجعل. You know all of that. Defending. Now, having understood that, when the Holy Prophet passes away, there has to be somebody who needs to fill that vacuum. The classical leader has gone. There has to be another leader who's able to do all these 4 things. Tabyin, explain. Ta'leel, give proofs. Ijra, execute the rulings of God. And 4th, defend, support, difa, the religion of God. Somebody has to come into the place of Holy Prophet to do this. Correct? Now, every time we talk about Ali, Ali is this, Ali is that. Ali is this, Ali is that. But many times we need to tell Ali, you talk about. Ali himself will say, you will talk every time, to pachi hu kya re baat karu? When will I talk? Let the personality talk himself. So we tell Ali, now you talk and tell us what you think. He says, come to Khutbah Shiqqiya and I will tell you what I'm about myself. In Khutbah Shiqqiya, there is one particular sentence which I'm going to divide into two. The second part I'm going to recite first. The first part I'm going to recite later on. In the second part, he is now extolling his virtues. He's extolling his characteristics and his virtues. And always remember, it's not always bad to talk about one's virtues. Quran says, فَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. If God has given you certain prerogatives, tell the people that you've been graced by God. If it is in the interest of religion, not for your self-conceit and egotism. So he's now telling in Khutbah Shiqqiya, he says, who do you think I am? Now I'm going to tell you who I am. Because this man now is talking about himself. This personality is now talking about his values and virtues. He says, يَنْحَدِرُ عَنِّ السَّيْلِ وَلَا يَرْقَى إِلَيَّ الطَّيْرِ. Who do you think you can match up to Ali? He says, you know who I am? This is Khutbah Shiqqiya. Everything that I've been talking about, I'm giving you references. And from day one, this is the case. There may be cases that you might not appreciate certain ahadith. Let it go. Don't dwell on it. But it's my duty to tell you where the reference is. So that in case you want to check, you can check it. Certain traditions you might not be able to digest it. And it's absolutely okay. Everybody is not supposed to be digesting everything that comes. That happens even in the case of the ashab of the Masumin. Ashab of the Masumin, Salman was told by Amirul Mu'mineen, Ya Salman, what I tell you about the ma'arif of God, don't share it with Abu Dhar. He may be on the 9th level of Iman, but you're on the 10th level. Between 9th level and 10th level, there's a lot of difference. Because if you tell him all that I tell you, Abu Dhar doesn't have the ability to digest. He will call you a kafir and he will kill you. Because he will think what you're talking is nonsense, it is kufr. But Salman, I know what you're talking is ain, the ma'arif of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But because they are so profound, they are so deep, Abu Dhar on the 9th level of Iman will not understand. So keep quiet and don't tell him. So it's absolutely okay if certain traditions you hear, it's difficult to digest. How is it possible? So fantabulous. But certain things you have to accept that even if you don't know, if you don't digest, it still has its value. And everything you understand, you don't have to know everything for that thing to be real. In Arabic, we got something which is called Adamul Wijdan la yadullu ala Adamul Wujud. Just because you don't know about something doesn't mean that thing doesn't exist. You don't know, but the thing would be existing. Adamul Wijdan, not finding a certain incident about an imam, la yadullu ala adamil wujud, does not mean that incident doesn't exist. You have not heard it, but it is there in the books. Isn't it possible? So over here we're talking about the Holy Prophet, we're talking Amirul Mu'mineen. He's saying, you know who I am? يَنْحَدِرُ عَنِّ السَّيْلِ وَلَا يَرْقَى إِلَيَّ الطَّيْرِ. He says, I am that mountain of virtue. I am that lofty entity. From me, يَنْحَدِرُ عَنِّ السَّيْلِ. From me, rivers of virtues flow down. Rivers of ilm, rivers of sakhawat, rivers of iman, rivers of zuhd, rivers of ma'arif of God, rivers of taqwa, rivers of sakhawat, rivers of shuja'at. All these rivers flow down my mountains. And this mountain of Ali ibn Abi Talib is so lofty. Don't even attempt to cross over me and get over me, because you will not be able to do, because la yarqa ilayya tayr. Tayr means, this is Najul Balagh I'm telling you, Khutbah Shiqqiya says, Wala yarqa ilayya tayr. Tayr means bird. Yarqa means to rise from taraqi. Taraqi means to rise. He says, Wala yarqa ilayya tayr. This mountain of Ali ibn Abi Talib is so lofty that even if birds with their flight would want to go over this mountain, they would not be able to do. This virtue, these virtues that I've got that comes from this mountain, which Urdu mein kehte na chattan. Ye chattan, this mountain range that is called Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib is so lofty that all that you can do is, see a mountain range or a mountain which has waterfalls and water flowing. You know which part of the mountain is most fertile? The valleys, the base of the mountain. Why? Because all the water comes from top and goes down. The valleys are fertile. The plants in the valleys derive the maximum benefit. Those on the steep slope might get a little bit, but the real benefit is for those who are at the base of the mountain. Ali says, don't try to cross and overcome this mountain of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. You want to benefit from me, you have to be at the base of this mountain. Be at the valley. Then all the streams of virtues of mine will flow down to you. That's when you will become fertile. That's when you will become Salman. That's when you will become Maytham Tammar. That's when you'll become Abu Dharr Ghifari and Miqdad. You try to cross over me, you'll become Muawiyah, who will be eventually ending up in Finnar. I am this individual. And because of this, I stake a claim to be the representative of the Prophet. I am that person who will fulfill all those 4 conditions that are required to keep a religion dynamic and not allow it to stagnate. I am the one who can keep the wheels of the religion functioning and churning. And it is true, You look at the Holy Prophet with all those 4 items. The tabeen, the ta'leel, the ijra, and the difa. Explanation, proofs, execution, and defending. All of this to the Tiba Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So when you come to the first part, the Holy Prophet used to explain the rulings. Ali explains the ruling. He sits under the mimbar and says, Saluni, Saluni, means what? Baba, ask me. I'm here to answer you. Saluni qabla an tafqiduni fa'ana bituruq as-samaa a'lamu minni bituruq al-ard. Ask me whatever you want about the religion, not just about the religion, anything in this world of existence. For Ali knows the ways of the skies more than the ways of the earth. Not to say he's saying some ways of Peterborough or London I don't know, but I know all the roads of the skies. No, he wants to show, Baba, you are so accustomed to this world. I know ghaib. I know things that you don't even imagine, things that would be existing. I know about them. Ask me. When somebody says Saluni, means he says ask me. I'm able to answer everything to you. So this is tabeen, ta'leel, to give proofs. See, for this you don't need to say anything. Just one sentence is enough. Because all the time, whenever people would get stuck up and they would say, Ali, please give us the reason for this. Ali would come and that same sentence would come out. Lawla Ali la halaka fulan. Why do you think that was said? Because every time people would get stuck up with the questions from people why, and they would not know the why. The only person who would know the why was the house of Amirul Mu'mineen. Every time the Khulafa would get stuck, because people would come from different regions, they would ask, why this, reason, proof. People don't know the proof. They know salat, but proof. They know this ruling, but proof. Proof is there in their house. Every time it's say, call Abul Hasan. Call him. When Ali would come, he would explain. Now they are satisfied when he's about to go, Ya Ali, lawla Ali la halaka fulan. Had it not been for Ali, fulan would have become halak. This itself shows Ali would be giving proofs for things that people would not be able to give. Then come to ijra. What do you want to talk about execution of the rulings of God? For a man who's willing to put a hot, heated iron rod into the hands of his brother Aqil when he's asking for more money from Baytul Mal. He says, Aqil, don't force me to do this. I will do this to you. I have given you your share of Baytul Mal. You may be my brother. I have given you what your share demands. You're almost blind or completely blind. I have given you what is your right. Just because you are my brother and I'm Khalifatul Muslimin doesn't mean nepotism works with me, Aqil. And all of us know when he came to ask for more money, he picks up that hot rod, puts it to his hand. Aqil puts his hand away. Ali, what are you doing? This is a hot rod. He says, this is what I will do to you, because if I don't do this to you, God will do this to me on the day of judgment. This is called execution. He's not worried. La ya'khudhu ta'khudhu lawmat laim. Criticism of criticizers don't affect them. I will implement even if you turn against me. I will do this even if I have nobody left. This is what Ali's execution. And then difa', who doesn't know the shuja'at of Ali? The Khandaqs and the Khaybars and the Badrs and the Safins and the Jamals and the Nahrawans. This is what is there. But having stated his virtue and having staked his claim that the only person who can fit an-na'al bin-na'al on the footprint of the Holy Prophet in being the leader of the Islamic Ummah after the Holy Prophet is me. Now he has a complaint to make. He has a complaint, and this is the first part of the sentence. The last part is this: يَنْحَدِرُ عَنِّ السَّيْلِ, and that mountain from me flows the rivers of virtues. And he's gone on record in Nahjul Balagha. He said, don't ever try to be like me. You will not be like me. He says, you can't exhibit the level of taqwa that I do. You can't live that life. It's not you. You can't eat the food that I eat. You know how the food was, yeah? The food that Ali would eat was so hard. A person 2 days hungry, when he's given, he comes and returns it back. Even 2 days hungry, but I can't eat this. Ali, how are you eating this? It says, zuhud, taqwa, none of these things. Is there something? Okay, sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. There's a request, if you could all please come forward. Again, the same request. As many people that you give them place, all their reward and thawab will be accumulated to those who move forward. So, sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Ahsantum. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. So now Ali is saying, this is my virtues. But you know what has happened to me? This is the first part of Khutbah Shiqqiya. And ajab this is on. Again, we will not name names. Because in certain nuskhas, it's not, names have been not mentioned. Certain nuskhas, certain transcripts, the names have been mentioned. He says, Wallahi laqad taqammasaha fulan ibn fulan. وأنه يعلم أن محلي عجب this is bana. والله لقد تقمصها فلان ابن فلان وأنه يعلم أن محلي منها محل القطب من الرحى. He says, surely by God, this Fulan ibn Fulan took up the Khilafat and he wore it like a shirt. Taqammasaha comes from the word qamis. Qamis means shirt, dress, apparel, whatever. He said he took the Khilafat, laqad taqammasa, he wore it as if it was his property, put it around himself. وَأَنَّهُ يَعْلَمْ, he knew it. أَنَّ مَحَلِّ مِنْهَا, my position with respect to the Khilafat, مَحَلُّ الْقُطْبِ مِنَ الرَّحَى. Let me explain this word qutb and explain this word raha. Raha, today we've got these grinders at home. But in olden days, you know, wo kehta na chakki. You know chakki, who doesn't understand? You have these two major pieces of rock. The first one has a handle, the bottom one is fixed, and it revolves around. Then you put the grains and you grind it, and the flour comes out from the side. But you realize when it is moving, so you've got two big circular pieces of blocks of stone with a hole in between, and then the first one has a handle that needs to move. But in order to make sure that when you're moving, the top portion doesn't move out, there is a piece of wood in between both the rocks. So that when you're moving, that piece of wood prevents these two blocks from separating. If you pull out, as long as the wood is there, when you rotate it, it rotates, the powder comes out, the flour comes out. But the moment you pick that piece of wood from between and you try to move, it will move out of place. That chakki is referred to as raha. That piece of wood is referred to as qutb. Ali Singh annahu ya'lam. This man who took my khilafat knew that my position with respect to the khilafat is like that piece of wood with respect to this chakki. You take out that piece of wood, this chakki will not run. You take me out of khilafat, this khilafat will not run. It will run, but it will move at the side. It will go deviated. Things that the Holy Prophet says jaiz, this khilafat will make haram. Things that the Holy Prophet has made haram, these people will come, the khilafat will make jaiz. The only thing that will keep the chakki, the reha working is that fulcrum. I am that axis, I am that fulcrum, I am that pivot which keeps this grind mill moving. Grind mill of khilafat. Just as without that pivot, the grind mill doesn't function, without me, the khilafat will not function. I am that centerpiece. I am that pivot. I am that fulcrum that allows this entire functioning of the world through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he knew it and he took it from me. Now there is a reason why he's complaining. He's saying, I am the qutb. I am the pivot. I am the fulcrum of the existence of this khilafat. Just as you cannot run a mill without that fulcrum, you cannot run a khilafat properly without me. Things will go haywire. And do we not see in those 25 years when this fulcrum was taken away from the khilafat, what happened? What happened to Taraweeh? What happened to XYZ? What happened to hands being folded and put down? What happens to the wuzu being this way or this way? What happened in 25 years? The grind mill without the pivot still functions, but it goes this side and that side because there's nothing to hold it in place. Without Ali, the Khilafat goes this side and that side. So what was supposed to be a simple salat now becomes, what was supposed to be a simple masa, simple wudu becomes, what was supposed to be a simple thing, in everything you find things coming up. Why? Because the pivot is removed from the Khilafat. Now the Khilafat goes in every direction. He says people knew, that person knew, this is my position, but still he took it. You know why he complained? There was a reason. He says, the reason I'm complaining is this. And again, I'm paraphrasing these words. And I'm picking up from various segments of Nahjul Balagha and the traditions. He says, you know why I'm complaining about this? That my right had been taken away? Because people did not understand what this Khilafat and Wilayat was. They thought it was an ordinary leadership that could be taken and acquired by a few group of people gathering together. And we've proved this, yeah? Inni ja'aluka linnasi imama. We proved it at that time. This is a position that is graced by God. It cannot be taken. Imam Rida alayhi salam in one of the traditions says, I've mentioned before, this imamat and wilayat is like stars. You can't reach out. It doesn't work. However much you may try, however much salatul layl you may recite, however much you might fast, however much hajj and ziyarat you might go, you can't reach out. It has to come down to you. Inni ja'aluka linnasi imama. God has to say, I am gracing this to you. So he is saying they didn't understand that. They thought after the Holy Prophet passed away, a few people gathered together in Bani Thaqifah. They say, oh, voting, I'm giving this person my vote. Or I'm selecting this person. That person becomes the Khalifatul Muslimin. They don't understand. They don't realize this person has to be the qutb, the pivot of Khilafat. He is not the one, I am the one. Second reason, he says, the problem with this is they didn't understand this. This is a position that is given by God. And now understand this. To understand Husayn ibn Ali, the second portion is very important. See, this position we mentioned is something that is given by God, the wilayat. But once it has been given, this is a responsibility that the person who has been given, he has to fulfill and uphold. He can't shirk it off. And to explain this to us, that entire event unfolded when Husayn ibn Ali is moving from Medina to go to Makkah, then eventually to Kufa. He goes to the grave of the Holy Prophet and he complains to him. Look what your ummah is doing. What did the Prophet say? He says, Hussein, you have no choice. You have no alternative. You have to go this. You can't shirk this responsibility. This wilayat has been given to you. Having been given to you, you can't. Not that Hussein wanted to take it out. Hussein knew from Azal, from the time his creation, that this is what he had volunteered for. But this is for us to know, once this responsibility comes, you can't shirk it. When do you understand it properly? In that debate that the 8th Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. That debate that the 8th Imam had with Ma'mun. Then he tells this fact. What was the incident? Ma'mun summons Imam Rida alayhi salam from Medina to Khurasan. Everybody knows. Passes to Nishapur. This Nishapur, remember, probably Shab Ashura. If I have the ability, inshallah, awnillah, I'll explain something about that Nishapur issue. I thought this is how wilayat protects Tawheed of God. Mention wilayat, system of divine governance. I'll prove to you how wilayat protects the Tawheed. Without wilayat, Tawheed goes for a toss. But anyway, that's... So here, Imam Rida, he's been called, summoned to Marv, to Khurasan. When he's called, Ma'mun is saying, Yabna Rasulullah, I want to make you the Khalifa. Now we know, people say Vilayat Ahd, the crown prince. But that was the second stage, That was not the first ruling. First, he wanted Imam Rida alayhi salam to become the Khalifa. When Imam refused, then he forced, okay, Crown Prince. Crown Prince was one of the first one. First he said, I want you to become the Khalifa after me. At that time, Imam is debating. He says, you can't do that, Mamun. And I can't take it from you. He says, why not? I'm the Khalifa. I want to give my Khilafah to you. Imam Raza says, Mamun, you can't do that. He says, why not? He says, for two reasons. Look at the reasoning on. He says, do you think this is your right? He says, yes, I think it's my right. He says, look, if you think this is your right, first of all, he says, first of all, if this has been given to you by God, then you have no right to give it to me. You can only give it to me if you do not have the right to do it. So the first thing, if you think you have the right to deserve it, you cannot give it to me. Either you say you've got the right, or you say you don't have the right. See, and this is how it goes. I'm willing to take the Khilafat. Either you accept you've got the right of Khilafat, or you don't have the right of Khilafat. If you say you don't have the right of Khilafat, that means the Khilafat is never with you. How will you give it to me? If you say you've got the right of Khilafat, then it is something that has been given to you by God. You cannot give it to me. It is only God who, if He wants, He can give it to me. Either it is yours or it is not yours. If it's not yours, you cannot give it to me. If it is yours, you have to stick in it and fulfill the responsibilities. And this is what Imam is saying. This is something that was mine. They took it away and then they started passing on amongst themselves without realizing there is somebody who's waiting over here for it. And it is because of this that clog was removed from the grind mill. For 25 years, that entire mill started moving everywhere, left, right and center. That we had that 25 years of deviation. That when Ali comes to the Khilafat in the year 37 Hijri, he puts up, understand this how it's going, how Hussain ibn Ali steps out. It all starts from where I've started, that Ayah Ghadir. It's all linked up. You lose for 5 minutes, you won't know where we are going. There in 37 Hijri, after 25 years, when the whole Khilafat had gone left, right and center, that pivot was taken off, that fulcrum was taken off, that axis was taken off, the grind mill was moving in all directions, churning out every sort of flour in every direction, in terms of wudu, in terms of salat, in terms of tarawih, in terms of mut'a, in terms of tamattu, in terms of X, Y, Z. We can go on and on the deviation that took place in those 25 years. Now, after 25 years, when Ali is coming to the Khilafat again, in the year 37 Hijri, he puts Malik Ashtar, I'm putting you the governor. As he's made the governor, he writes to him. That writing is the reason that Hussain ibn Ali took off from Medina. You know what he wrote? Who? Amirul Mu'mineen. To whom? To Malik Ashtar. He's saying, Malik Ashtar, understand the situation, the status that you're in currently right now, in the Mamlakat of Islam. It says, فَإِنَّ هَذَا الدِّينَ. This is Nahjul Balagha. فَإِنَّ هَذَا الدِّينَ كَانَ أَسِيرًا فِي أَيْدِ الْأَشْرَارِ. Malik Ashtar, I have sent you to be the governor of a place, but understand, where you are going and where I am seated, this religion of God, فَإِنَّ هَذَا الدِّينَ, surely this religion, كَانَ أَسِيرًا فِي أَيْدِ الْأَشْرَارِ. It has become a captive in the hands of Ashrar. Ashrar means evil people. What happens? What do they do with this religion? It says, يُعْمَلُ فِيهِ بِالْهَوَىٰ وَيْتُطْلَبُ بِهِ الدُّنْيَا. And these Ashrar have taken the religion as captive. They work on it as per their whims. Wudu should be done this way. This is our belief. Somebody comes before somebody, folds his hands and says, Ya Khalifat al-Muslimin, why are you holding hands like this? Because in our community, when we want to exhibit respect, this is how we stand. Oh, this is fantastic. Mark of respect? He says, yes, mark of respect. So if you can do that to me, it becomes more deserving that I do to God. Everybody fold your hands and start praying, because you need to be respecting God. يُعْمَلُ فِيهِ بِالْهَوَىٰ. Based on the whims and caprices, this religion is being worked on. وَتُطْلَبُ بِهِ الدُّنْيَا. And they use this to earn the riches of this dunya. To earn the riches of this dunya. Religion at the time when Amirul Mu'mineen became the Khalifa, this is now at 37. And this goes up to the year 41, eventually when Amirul Mu'mineen is martyred. This is the situation. The deen had become asir. Salat was there. It had become asir. You know how Asir? Salat was there. Nobody says Salat was taken away. Salat was there, it had become Asir, captive. I'll tell you. Fasting was there, it had become Asir. Hajj was there, it had become Asir. Zakat was there, it had become Asir. Asir means captive. In olden days, and why I'm telling you he used the word Asir, listen, this is the reason. In those days, whenever an individual was captured in war, which today we say POWs, prisoner of wars, they would deal with that prisoner of war in three ways. See how Imam uses that correct word. فَإِنَّ هَذَا الدِّينَ كَانَ أَسِيرًا. It's captive. The reason is this. When a person was captured in war, the people would deal with him in three ways. One, either they would let them go. And numerous times the Prophet said, you are prisoner of war in the battle, you are under our captivity, you teach 10 people, every person who teaches 10 people to read and write is allowed to go free. Have you heard about it? Of course you heard about it. People, the Holy Prophet in his wars would take prisoners of wars, then he would say, I'm willing to leave you. But condition, teach 10 of my Arab illiterate people to read and write. If you teach 10 people, you're free. So the first thing they would do is either let them go. Second, they would either kill them. You are prisoner of wars, you're spies, spying against us, for the enemies, killed, executed. Or third thing, they would take hold of those individuals, make them slaves and use as commodities to benefit them in terms of monetary finances. Imam says, when the Bani Umayyah came to power and all the others, X, Y, Z, came to the powers, they took hold of the religion. Bani Umayyah took hold of the religion, made them asir, made it a captive. Why? Because when Bani Umayyah came to the power, they took hold of the religion. They said, now we've got this. This is a prisoner of war. We need to do one of these three things. It says, do we let it go? It says, we can't let the religion go, because if religion goes, we become captive. We become dependent on religion, because religion will tell us, don't do dhulm. Don't take up, misappropriate other people's rights. Don't kill people. Don't do this. Don't do that. If we let the religion free, we become captive. So religion cannot become free. We cannot kill the religion as well. Because when you kill the religion, there will be some backlash. You can't just take the religion out all of a sudden when the Holy Prophet has spent 23 years and then 25 years of the Khulafa and then 4 years of Amir al-Mu'minin. You can't just come and take everything away. There's a backlash, fear of backlash, so we cannot kill it. And I'm reminded of that incident when the demolition of Baqi took place. The idea was to completely demolish Baqi and as well the haram and the shrine of the Holy Prophet. The intention was that. And people have gone on record, people in authority over there, to have said, this, the grave of the Holy Prophet, Hada Sanamun Akbar. This is the greatest idol, in our opinion. People come to tawassul, that is a shirk. According to them, the haram, the grave of the Holy Prophet, is an idol. Hada Sanamun Akbar. But they went about with the demolition of Baqi. They raised it to the ground. They said, if we had the chance, we would have raised this green dome to the ground. But we are worried of the backlash of the Muslim world. Shiite world, we can tolerate it. The fourth Imams, Hazrat Hamza, XYZ, we can tolerate. But if we touch this biggest idol, na'udhu billah, the whole Muslim world will come again, so we step back. Same thing over there, we can't take out the Islam completely. So we can't kill it. We can't let it go, or else we become captive. We can't kill it, or we face the backlash. What else? Take it as a captive. Use it for our purpose. Use it as a slave. So I'm saying, Salat was there, but it was a captive. You want me to prove to you how Salat was there, but it was still a captive? It was in captivity. Baba Jan, if somebody on a Wednesday comes and says Salatul Jummah on Wednesday, and the entire city comes and prays behind them, and nobody says anything, and the entire namaz Jummah is prayed on Wednesday, that namaz is there, but it is a captive. Namaz is there. You pray namaz Jummah on a Wednesday. In Sham, in Dimashq, everybody participated in that namaz Jummah of Muawiyah. On a Wednesday. On a Wednesday, reciting Suratul Jummah, in which it is said, وَإِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمَعَةِ. This is the day of Wednesday, Yawmul Arba. people prayed without anybody even objecting to Muawiyah. This means that religion is there taken as a captive. Salat is there. I have taken it as a prisoner. I do as I want with it. It's my slave. I tell it to sit, it sits. If I tell it to stand, it stands. If I tell you pray on Friday, it is prayed on Friday. If I tell you pray on Wednesday, it's prayed on Wednesday. This is how religion was. It had become an asir. And you want to know how Muawiyah treated the religion? Over we can say, La'anatullah alayhi, nahi. Do we nahi boli shake? Ya to boli shake nahi. La'anatullah alayhi. This Muawiyah goes on as the Khalifatul Muslimin. Uses the religion to further his motives. Okay, so now we come to the point. Again, when you have these sensitive things, it's always good to read it out to you, so that you know where the reference is. Because again, many people, it's a digestion problem, so it becomes better, okay, we speak it out over here. How Muawiyah used to use religion to further his motives. One of the things that he would use to religion is to fabricate hadith to promote his ideas and vested interests. Now what I'm going to show is very sensitive. But because I'm talking academic with proofs, it can go. This is a tradition, and I'm exactly quoting verbatim from the book that I'm reading. How fabrication of hadith took place in the time of Muawiyah. Listen to what has happened to this religion that forced Hussein ibn Ali to get up and put his neck down on the line in that plains of Karbala. It says, ذَكَرَهُ السَّفَوِي السَّفُوري. Safuri is a scholar. ذَكَرَهُ السَّفُوري فِي نَزْحَةِ الْمَجَالِسِ. This is a Sunni scholar who's got a book by the name of Nazhatul Majalis. The author's name is As-Safuri. This riwayat is saying, ذَكَرَهُ السَّفُوري فِي نَزْحَةِ الْمَجَالِسِ. That As-Safuri, the scholar, the author of the book Nazhatul Majalis, is mentioning in his book. What? وَقَالِ. The Safuri is narrating in his book. رَأَيْتُ فِي شَرْحِ الْبُخَارِ. I saw in one of the commentaries of Bukhari. Just as in Nahjul Balagha, we've got numerous commentaries. Similarly, Sahih al-Bukhari has numerous commentaries. Some of them are good commentaries. He says, Ra'aytu, who Safuri is saying in his book. I'm mentioning the names of the book so that you can go and find out. It says, Ra'aytu fi sharh al-Bukhari li Ibn Abi Jamrah. One of the commentaries on Sahih al-Bukhari is by a person by the name of Ibn Abi Jamrah. He's a scholar. Now this person, As-Safuri, in his book is narrating, I saw this tradition in this book, Sharh al-Bukhari li Ibn Abi Jamrah. What is the hadith? Sometimes you feel, how do you even say it from this member? It says, Anin Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the moment you say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when there is no alayhi, you know where it is coming from. Anin Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, qal. Samro only, huh? It says, Ana Madin. This is the Prophet saying this. Ana Madinatu Sakha wa Abu Bakr Babuha. I am the city of Sakhawat and generosity. Wa Abu Bakr Babuha. Wa ana Madinatu Shuja'a wa Umar Babuha. You don't need to translate that, Bana. Come on. Wa ana Madinatu Shuja'a wa Umar Babuha. Wa ana Madinatul Haya, modesty, wa Uthman Babuha. Wa ana Madinatul Ilm wa Aliyun Babuha. This means religion has become a captive. Because Ali has been said, Aliyun Babuha. So now we have to have certain fabrications. This is what Muawiyah used to do. This is what using religion as a commodity to benefit us. And these things took galore in the time of Muawiyah. We don't have time to talk about it. Just this fabrication of hadith, probably a khamsa of an hour and 15 minutes. What happened? The tragedy that we are falling today is because of this. This and a few other instances. All this complication that people then take up to divide our families. Oh, if you have different easy and family is being ripped apart. What family is being ripped apart? One day somebody sees a moon, the other day somebody sees another moon. One day one Eid, the other day another Eid. Is this ripped apart? Family rips apart. Baba, I like to eat brinjal, aubergine. My wife likes to eat meat. Do we divorce? Just because she likes meat and I like aubergine, do we divorce? She likes pink color, I like blue color. Tane to pink color khape che mane blue color, we can't live. You out, I'm out. Are you telling? What split? Just because you have Eid on 2 days, there's a disunity in the family. Says who? There's so many times you like a cereal, your son doesn't like a cereal. You like a football team, your son doesn't like that football team. Is that disunity in the house? You're having one Eid on one day, falling one Mufti, the other on another day. You want to make it a big hyperbole. Oh, it disunites the family, disfragments the family, entire families. What family, Baba? Don't give it too much masala. There's 2 different Eid. Have Eid biryani on both days. What's your problem? But no, we want to use things. One of these things that brought about this is exactly this. Go, time take you. So this is what Muawiyah used to do. Give me another 5-7 minutes and then we will finish off. This is what Muawiyah used to do very quickly. You know what Muawiyah used to do? Using religion as a means of commodity. He knew in the Indian regions, Sri Lanka, and the other areas of Thailand, and those regions, the Far East, the Orient, that time we call, beyond the subcontinent, those people were idolaters, idol worshippers. You know what he would do? To gain money, he would purchase simple idols. Then he would have a factory where he would tell his people, decorate this and embellish it with gold, silver and jewels. And then he would extravagant money, he would sell it to those people. Everybody knows tarweej of a religion other than Islam is haram. This is Khalifatul Muslimin, distributing idols, which was one of the first things that Islam opposed. After Fath Makkah, when Makkah came under the control of the Muslim Ummah, the first thing was the Prophet says, Ali, stand on my shoulders and remove all these idols. This is Rasulullah, this is Khalifa Rasulullah who's saying, I want to embellish idols, use it to gain money, using my position as the Khalifa. This is what we call using religion as a commodity. And to oppose, and Muawiyah was the first person, Muawiyah was the first person to convert the Khilafat into a sultanate. To a sultanate. Initially when he was a king, people would say, Assalamu alayka ayyuhal amir. Everybody knows that, Assalamu alayka ayyuhal amir. Then when he became Khalifatul Muslimin, he became a Khalifa with all those sul and all those things. You know what they would call? Assalamu alayka ayyuhal amir al-mu'minin. Ya assalamu alayka ya amir al-mu'minin. But that was not the 2 titles that he really liked. He liked the 3rd one. Because he was very impressed by the Caesars and the Khusro Parvezes of the Romans and the Iranians. So people would come and he would say, don't call me this Khalifatul Muslimin. Don't call me ya Khalifatul Muslimin. Don't call me ya amir al-mu'minin. Call me assalamu alayka ayyuhal malik. Salam upon you, O the emperor. Oh, the Shahanshah. Oh, the Padishah. In Arabic, Assalamu alayka ayyuhal amir. This was the title he loved the most. Why? Because Imam Ali said, فَإِنَّ هَذَا الدِّينَ كَانَ أَسِيرًا فِي الْأَيْدِ الْأَشْرَارِ. This religion has become asir in the hands of Ashrar. What do? يُؤْمَلُ فِيهِ بِالْهَوَى. They act on it based on their own whims and caprices. Jummah on Wednesday, whims and caprices. وَتُطْلَبُ بِهِ الدُّنْيَا. By means of this religion, they want to earn the money of the world. Use the idols. Who cares about religion? Fabricate hadith to promote our incentives. Who cares about what Rasulullah said? This is the problem. And it is because, and you realize this, this took place in the year 37 to 41 Hijri. This was the state of affairs in the year 37 to 41, the 4 years that Ali was there, 3 years and some months. Now imagine, from 41 Hijri to 61 Hijri, what would have happened to this religion? If Ali at that time was exasperated and he's frustrated when he's telling Malik Ashar, this is the state of my religion. Imagine what would have happened 20 years later. Hussein was forced to stand up. This was why, Kana asiran fi aydil ashrar. At that time it was Muawiyah and the likes, this time it is Yazid. Even worse. But then what happens with Hussein is amazing, 5-7 minutes and then Masai be done. As this is today's Saturday, I know there are commitments, but in Ziyarat al-Nahiya we have this one sentence of Sahib al-Amr where he says, لَأَنْدُبَنَّكَ صَبَاحًا وَمَسَاءً وَلَأَبْكِيَنَّ لَكَ بدل الدموع دما. Oh, my Muslim grandfather, I do know her and nutba on you morning and night, morning and evening. ولا أبكين عليك ولا أبكين لك بدل الدموع دما. And instead of tears of water, I shed tears of blood. Somebody met Imam Zamana. How, what, that incident, just let it go, just because Masab. Meets Imam Zamana in his dreams. He says, Yabna Rasulullah, you mentioned this, is it correct? He says, yes, that's what is the reality. He says, Yabna Rasulullah, oh Imam of the time, tell me, what was that, what is the Masab that caused you to bring out tears of blood? Was it when Ali Akbar took the spear on his chest, that 18-year-old young boy? Is that the Masaib? Is that the Musibah that brings about the tears of blood from your eyes? He says, no. The thing that we are shedding tears of blood, if Ali Akbar was there, he would have shed tears of blood. He said, then is it the time when Abbas's hands were cut that causes you to bleed tears of blood? He says, no, if Abbas was there for which we shed tears of blood, Abbas would have shed tears of blood. He said, then Mawla, I'm certain that it should be the shahadat of Imam Hussain. When Shimr came and severed the head of Imam Hussain, that would have caused you to shed tears of blood. He says, no. If Hussain was there for what we shed tears of blood, Hussain would have shed tears of blood. He says, Mawla, then what other Masaib is remaining? Imam says, Zainab and Asham. What our aunt went through Asham was so difficult for us that Ali Akbar, Abbas, even Hussain, if he was there, they would have shed tears of blood. Hussein's sister is now coming into the city of Sham. And that is why every Imam would, whenever talk about the punishment or talk about the persecution that was most heinous for them, they would say, Asham, Asham, Asham. Yeah, Hussein's sister is now coming inside. You know, she's coming inside the darbar. Very quickly we finish off. In the darbar, two things take place very quickly and then Masab finish. So when they come inside, Yazid is sitting. He is sitting on the table. On the table in front of him is a board of chess. In his hand, one hand there is alcohol, a goblet of alcohol, a glass of alcohol. On the other hand, he has a stick. And every so often he's hitting something with the stick. With something with the stick that is placed before him. You know what is hitting? He's hitting the severed head of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Sometimes he's hitting the lips. Sometimes he's hitting the cheek. Sometimes he's hitting the head of Hussain ibn Ali. Hey Baba Jan, what are you doing? These are the face, these are the mouths and the lips that Rasulullah used to kiss. These are the eyes that Rasulullah used to kiss. Yazid is there, he is intoxicated in his power and his drink. They come inside, they are made to stand very quickly. Two instances and then Masab finish. The first instance takes place this way. As they come, Sajjad comes, ladies come, Zainab comes, Fiza is there, Layla is there, Ruqayya is there, Kubra is there, Kulsum is there, everyone is there. But they stand in such a way that they encircle Zainab Kubra. She is right in the middle, they encircle her. She is the diamond that we need to prevent and protect. Next to Zainab is small Sakina. Sakina standing next to Zainab, holding her aunt's hand. All of a sudden, one of the courtiers comes. Who are these people? So these are Khariji, these are rebels who have rebelled against Yazid. The men have been killed and the ladies are brought captives. Oh, these are captives. One person stands up to Yazid and says, Yazid, that little girl, that 3-year-old girl, can I take her as a slave? Can I take her as a slave? I don't want to tell you the reaction of Zainab and Kulsum and Sajjad by this sentence. But there was one sentence that made everybody break down. This sentence was a shock, but there was one sentence that made everybody cry. And that sentence came from Sakina herself. As soon as she heard this, she's so small, she doesn't know what the circumstances are around in the court. She turns, she hears that man saying, Can I take this girl as a slave girl? She turns to aunt, looks up and says, Aunt Zainab, does it always happen when somebody's father dies, that girl is taken as a slave girl. Zainab begins to cry. Sajjad begins to cry. The whole entourage begins to cry. What do they tell Sakina? Sakina, this is not how world behaves. And the second instance, when they were made to stand, Ayatollah Jazairi is mentioning the cut head of Hussein is now being hit by the stick. Is being hit by the stick. Ayatollah Jazairi mentions, all of a sudden the Ravi says, I saw the eyes of Imam Hussein open. And it starts moving around the room. He sees his son Sajdad, who's bent over with hands and legs in shackles. He sees his Sakina. He sees Kulsum. He sees Layla. He sees Rabab. He sees Farwa. The eyes keep moving. Ayatollah Jazairi says, eyes keep moving. Suddenly the eyes rest on the face of Zainab. And then the Ravi says the eyes lower itself. And from the side of the cut head of Hussein, a drop of blood comes out. It means that Hussein is telling Zainab, your brother is sorry to see you in this state. What has happened to you? Hussein cannot watch what is happening. He will lower his eyes, but it is so intense for Hussein. He will shed tears, but not of water. The tears of blood will come out of Hussein. Wa Zainaba, wa Shama, wa Mazluma. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. مات حسين.